Today we are working on Pablo's Focus RS. Pablo's the owner of Perf6rmanc3, and we're in his shop today. And we are going to do a pop and drop build on his Focus RS. This is the Focus RS that we went and picked up from Florida. As you can see, it's got a ton of road salt and nonsense on here because he's daily driving it. I think it's got about like 6,000 miles on it now. So obviously we have some pretty big goals for this car. Mainly not so much power goals, but more track time goals.
Yeah, boy.
We plan on doing a bit of different types of racing with this, and ultimately this car is going to see a 2.0 TS block. However, for the time being, Pablo actually wants to push the stock turbo to its limitations. See what's the most we can get out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to be dropping in a set of Manly pistons and Manly connecting rods, courtesy of Manly Perf6rmanc3. Big thank you to Jesse and Tom over there at Manly. They sent us a set of pistons and rods for us specifically to use in this car and in this motor. So thank you to them for hooking us up. We love working with them, and we're happy to have such a great relationship with the guys at Manly. So we're going to basically do a pop and drop piston and rod combo in this engine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull the head off. We're going to remove the factory pistons and rods, leave the crankshaft still contained, as well as the main bearing still contained. So we're not going to be dropping the main bearing girdle or anything like that. Since the engine is still so new and it has such low miles, all we're going to be doing is dropping in standard bore pistons, which are 87.5 millimeter, and the H-beam rods, and we'll be putting some aftermarket bearings on the connecting rods, but retaining the main bearing since we're not dropping the crankshaft. And then we'll check the head, and if it needs to be milled, we'll just run it over to the machine shop and then mill it. And then we'll slap this back on, and we'll also throw in a set of custom-made 625 head studs. So at this point, I'm gonna kind of get started on taking most of it apart. I told Pablo that I would help him out with this, and it's probably good for me to take a break away from the keyboard and stop tuning a little bit, and do a little bit of engine work as well. So we're gonna get that taken care of, and I'll snap some videos along the way. Unfortunately, I forgot my GoPro, so I can't really do like a time lapse or anything like that today. But I'll snag some video whenever I can, every time I get a free moment. So next up, built Focus RS. Here we go. All right, so we got most stuff out of the way now. We next have to take the timing cover off. But what Pablo's doing right now is he's disconnecting the exhaust manifold from the cylinder head. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to keep the downpipe totally connected to the turbo. And all we're going to do is just remove the 4 bolts that mount the turbo to the exhaust manifold. The cylinder head, and the exhaust side of the cylinder head. I keep forgetting there's no manifold on these things, but they still kind of call it a manifold. So essentially, basically, the turbine side of the turbo bolts directly to the cylinder head. So Pablo's taking those 4 bolts off right now, and then that's just going to kind of rest there back against the firewall, just kind of rest where it's at, because the turbo's still connected to the downpipe. So once that's free, the intake manifold is now free. We got most of the stuff on the accessory side for the fuel pump, the high pressure pump, disconnected. So now once Pablo removes that turbo, then really all we have to do is we have to take the passenger side front wheel off. We'll start taking the timing cover off. We'll undo the timing components, and then what we can do is we can take the cams out, loosen the factory head bolts, and I guess drain the coolant. We'll do at some point as well, and then we'll be able to pull the head. and then we'll drain the oil and get to working on the bottom end rotating assembly. So that's the next step. Alright, so oil pan's down, and there's a look at the bottom end. This here is the balance shaft. There's the oil pickup tube, oil pump back here. There's the crankshaft up here, and then this is the girdle. So we're going to take the balance shaft off. We're going to also do a balance shaft delete. And then basically what we do from there is the main girdle is not going to come down. So the crankshaft is going to stay assembled and in the block. All we're going to do is we're going to take the rod caps off and release the pistons and the connecting rod attached to it. And then we're going to file fit the rings for the new pistons and check everything, take our measurements, and then reassemble onto the crankshaft. So that's essentially what a pop and drop is. So what Pablo's doing now is he's file fitting the rings to the factory standard bore. Kind of hard to see with that glare there, right? Yeah. So he's file fitting the rings at the moment. And then once that's done, we can connect the pistons to the rods. Actually, did you do that already, Pablo?
Yeah, it's in the back.
Yeah, it's in the back, so I'll go back there and show you guys. So yeah, he connected the pistons to the rods. So we're just file fitting the rings, and then once this is done, we can throw some new bearings on the rods, and then drop in these new pistons and rods into the bore. Put the rods on the crankshaft, throw the caps on there, torque them down, and then we'll have our rotating assembly basically back in full working order. I just threw a balance shaft delete in there. I threw that up. I'll show you what that looks like. Let's go back and show you what the pistons and rods are like. Mainly H-beam rods and mainly pistons as well. You can see these are way beefier. So those will go in here shortly, and what I'm going to go do now is clean up all the old RTV gasket maker on the timing cover and oil pan and get it all cleaned up, because very soon we're going to be sealing up the short block and closing it up. So not yet, but soon. So I think we just have to put some cams in the cylinder head and shim the valves, and I think that'll be about it. Alright, so got all the pistons and rods in. Turn the crank a little bit. Spins nice and effortlessly. Oops. Awesome. Heavy, huh? Yeah, I'm gonna hold all that stuff back for you. Should be alright.
Okay, ready? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yep. There we go. That's on there. So now we have to put the washers and nuts on. And with these washers, they have a knurling on one side, and then they're smooth on the other. So the knurling goes face down onto the surface of the head, so that the knurling will bite into the aluminum, so to prevent washer spin when you're torquing, or rather when you're tightening the nuts to the torque spec that you want. You don't want washer spin when you're doing that, so that's why these are knurled. Alright, so very long night, but car's about 95% back together. Got most of the engine compartment back together. Just needs oil, a new oil filter. Got to top it off with coolant. Just basically needs fluid. Excuse me, just needs fluids basically.
Again, the car is still 100% bone stock. It just has pistons and rods now. Although this engine is going to be receiving a 2.5 liter with a 2.0 TS block very soon. Like I said, the guys at Manly hooked us up with these pistons and rods, so we figure all we got to do is just spend some time to put them in. So we're trying to see if we can do with the stock turbo. Pablo's already got an intercooler for it, downpipe, catback exhaust, basically to make it full bolt-on, and then I'm gonna tune it and see what we can max out the stock turbo to, and then take it to the track with the stock turbo. So, you know, although most people would say it is pointless to you know, build the factory block in this on the RS, the 2.3 block, we know that, you know. It's just more of a matter of it's gonna stay with the stock turbo with this block, so we're really not worried about anything. Just putting upgraded pistons and rods for the time being. So, you know, hopefully maybe we can make about 450 horsepower stock turbo. That'd be pretty cool, you know. So we'll see. But I'm gonna get some fluids in this thing, and hopefully she will be starting up very soon. Just finished working on a base calibration for it with the cams, so she should start up no problem.